I'm sure you've seen the title, so let's get straight into this practice. We're going to start sitting on the mat with our legs out long in front of us. Now, if you're a beginner to yoga, you might take a cushion to sit up here, or if you have yoga blocks, you could sit up on them as well. And that's going to make this pose a little bit easier for you. So with your legs out long in front of you, you're inhaling to reach the arms up to the sky. And then with an exhale, just fold forward over your legs. Drop your hands down either side of the legs wherever they land. And then with time, you might start to encourage your nose towards your knees. So you might start to feel that stretch all through the bottom of your legs, helping to gain that flexibility. The only thing we have to think about here is our back. So you might feel that your back is rounded here because you're trying to get your hands and your nose low. If that's the case, take a bend into your knees instead, and then doing that will help you to keep your back nice and straight. So feel free to experiment, see what works for you. And then when you're ready, drop into your seated forward fold. Start to take a few deep breaths, breathing as deeply into your belly as you can. And maybe each time you exhale, then you can sink your nose a little bit closer to your knees. Now to come out of the pose whenever you're ready, slowly start to push yourself away from your mat, spine nice and long again. You can shake out your legs if you need to. And then we'll take it into a pose called head to knee pose. So you can start by taking the sole of your right foot up into your left thigh. And if your right knee feels uncomfortable here, you can take, again, a cushion or a yoga block, put it in underneath that right leg for a little bit of support. Now, just like we did before, we're inhaling to reach the hands up. And then as we exhale, we're just dropping the hands wherever they land on this left leg, asking your nose to drop down towards your left knee. And we're going to stay here for a few breaths. So again, come back to that deep belly breathing. Maybe on each exhale, you can sink yourself a little bit lower as that left leg starts to gain flexibility. And if you're already feeling quite flexible in this left hamstring and you want to go a little bit deeper, you can flex your left foot and then press the back of your left knee down into the mat. So if I were to try slide my fingers underneath your leg, I wouldn't be able to get them under. Just tap into all of the sensations you're feeling now within your legs, maybe within your hips and your lower back as well. To come out of the pose, you might bring your hands back onto your mat, start to push yourself slowly back up. Ask that right leg to go back out long. You can shake off the legs again if you need to. And then we'll take it to the other side. So your left foot is coming in against your right thigh. Cushions or block underneath this left leg if needed. Inhale to reach up. Exhale to fold. And hands can find your right leg. Nose gradually starts to drip down towards that right knee. Find your breath again. Find all of those sensations. Your only job here is to be patient and just observe as the pose creates more flexibility within your body. You can help it by taking deep, focused breaths and just trying to keep your attention here on your yoga mat with your body. Preparing to come out of the pose now, start to press yourself back up. Left leg out long again, we'll shake them out. And then from here, we're making our way into downward facing dog. So your legs will come back behind you, hands are coming towards the front of your mat. Staying on all fours for a moment. Spread your fingers wide apart, as wide as you can get them. Then curl your toes onto the back of your mat. Lift your knees and then start to drag your hips up and back as if someone's pulling your tailbone towards the ceiling. Which is a bit of a weird image, but try your best just to point that tailbone up. So the legs might be feeling tight, that's completely normal. We'll just paddle the feet out here, get the back of the legs stretching and used to this position. And of course, you're cultivating flexibility in your hamstrings and your calves here. Keep breathing, big belly breaths. And then with time, as the body starts to get a little more flexible, you might be able to release your head towards your mat. Keep a bend in your knees, keep pointing that tailbone up, and you're just finding your best upside down V shape here. Take a few big breaths, we won't stay here for too long. And then from here, you can start to walk your feet very slowly towards your hands, eventually then coming into a standing forward fold. So our feet are hip distance apart, knees are staying bent. It's just like when we were in our seated forward fold. We don't want the spine to bend, so instead take a bend into your knees and keep your back nice and straight. Hands hanging low to the mat, or they can hold opposite elbows. Head gets heavy now and you can start to loosen up your jaw, relax your facial muscles. We're gonna hang here, getting that flexibility into the back of your legs. So each breath in encourages your muscles to open up a little, and each breath out helps you to get any tension out of your body. You can release your hands towards your mat if they're not already there. And then from here, come back down onto all fours. We're making our way into a pose called Pigeon Pose now. So from your hands and knees, bring your right leg out in front of you. So you have your right foot and your right knee on the mat in front. Now, it doesn't matter what position your right leg is in. We don't have to have the shin parallel to the front of the mat. This right foot can come back as much as you need to take it back in order for it to be comfortable for you. Now, a few things for pigeon pose. We want to keep our hips square. So try not to sit over on your right hip. That's not really going to work into your muscles, and it's not going to help with your leg flexibility. So hips are square, they're lifted. You can imagine that you have magnets in your feet, and your feet are trying to pull towards each other, which helps you to keep those hips high. Your front foot is flexed to protect your front knee, and then the top of your back foot is pressing into your mat as well. So it seems quite passive, but there's actually a lot going on here. If you need a little bit of support, especially if you're a beginner, just take a cushion or a yoga block, put it in underneath your right hip, and that will help you to rest against it. So we're going to stay here for a few moments. You can stay upright like this, or you can come down onto your forearms. And we'll just let gravity and your breath do all of the work here. So connect to your deep belly breathing. And then I'll let you know when it's time to come out of this pigeon pose. Take 3 more big breaths. Challenge yourself to keep your mind on those breaths. And then when you're ready, we're making our way back to downward facing dog. So take your time getting there, slowly reversing out of the pose and then sending your right leg back behind you. You can paddle out your feet again, release the pose and just stretch through the backs of your legs. Dropping both knees back down onto your mat, we'll take it to the left leg now. So left leg coming forward, setting yourself up for your pigeon pose. Remember, feet have magnets, they're both active, and your hips are nice and square. Again, if you need a cushion or yoga block in underneath this left hip, that will help a lot, especially as a beginner. And then you can stay here or you can come down onto your forearms. We'll relax as best we can into this pose here. Whenever you're ready now to come out of the pose, you're preparing to bring yourself back to downward facing dog. We'll meet there. Last time here, so really stretching out any last bits of tightness from the back of your legs. Maybe swinging your hips from side to side here. When you're ready to come out of your downward dog, you can drop both knees back down onto the mat. Just come back to sit on your heels for a moment. You can have a cushion in underneath here if you need to. Have your palms facing up. Close your eyes and just take 3 of your deepest breaths here. Thank you so much for doing this practice with me. I hope you're feeling a little bit more flexible in your legs. If you enjoyed this practice, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a thumbs up or maybe subscribe. I have lots of videos that will help you with your flexibility, and I'll leave a link to those in the description of this video. So until next time, have a great day and goodbye.